Hare Krišna. Ček, samo glasim. Čakaj. Čas. heca se. Se bo. Vse, ko bo prišel, kdo bo, ni panike. Pozdravljeni bakte, Jai Shri Krišna, Jai Rada. Evo, danes bom jaz malo za vami, tle malo skupaj zapojemo sveta imena. Skupaj. Namaste. Ni prača. Vishesha shunyavadi pashatya desha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Gremo še enkrat skupaj. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radhadara Srivasai Ora Bhakta Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, malo glasneje. Oh. Hare Rama, Vsi skupaj. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. A še enkrat skupaj, malo boljš lahko zavajo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Haribol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Skupi! Hare Krishna, Hare Bol! Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare! Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare! Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Haribo, Jaya Radhe.
Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan,
Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan.
Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan,
Shri Govinda, Gopinatha, Madana Mohan. Shri Govinda, Gopinatha, Madana Mohan. Shri Govinda, Gopinatha, Madana Mohan. Haribo, Shri Govinda, Gopinatha. Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Jaya Radhe,
Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan.
še enkrat skupaj. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Shri Govinda, Gopinatha, Madana Mohan. Shri
Govinda, Gopinatha,
Radhe Radhe Radhe, Jai 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 Shri Radhe, Radhe Radhe,
Jai 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 Shri Radhe,
Radhe Radhe Radhe, Jai 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 Shri Radhe, Radhe
Radhe Radhe, Jai 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 Shri Radhe,
Oh Radhe Radhe Radhe, Jai 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 Shri Radhe, Radhe Radhe,
Radhe, Jai 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 Shri Radhe,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Bol. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more time together, please. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama. Še enkrat skupaj. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Shri Shri Panchatattva ki jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Shri Shri Panchatattva ki, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai.
Hare Krišna. Dobrodošli na še enem nedeljskem srečanju, ki smo ga začeli z temi lepimi badžani. Pa bi se zahvalila Bhakta Mihu in glasbeni ekipi z enim glasnim Hare Bol, prosim. Tako, zdaj pred nami je naslednja točka in sicer predavanje njegove svetosti Prahladananda swamija, ki nam bo povedal nekaj na temo Acarya v pravem pomenu besede. Please, Maharaj, welcome to the Vyasasan. Predavanje bo v angleškem jeziku, tako da če bo kdo potreboval prevod, bo zanj poskrbljeno, samo slušalke tam vzamete pri Dojal Chandra Prabhuju. Hare Krišna.
Chaitanya Manobishtam Stavitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Vidati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shiguro Shiyuta Parikamalam Shiguro Vaishnavam Sha Shirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Savadutam Vrajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakan Zitam Scha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishu Vanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Trubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Thank you for coming. The purpose of this talk is to try to explain the difference between an Acarya, an initiating spiritual master, and a Shiksha Guru. As I've mentioned before, much of what when the sun is covered by clouds, it's very difficult to see the sunlight. Neither the sun can see through the clouds, nor can one see through the clouds to see the sun. So at the present time, when we're in the material identification of life, when we're misidentifying ourselves with these gross and subtle bodies, we can expect that we're not going to have full experience of Krishna consciousness. Still, if one wants to learn how to experience any particular subject matter, one has to have some faith in the teacher. For instance, normally if one wants to learn how to become an expert golf player, then one has to choose the expert golf player to learn from. They may not always hit the ball into the hole every time they hit the ball, but they should be better than we are. For instance, if one wants to learn how to make money, one should know the qualifications of the person who's teaching us. If someone writes a book, How to Make $1 Million in Just 3 Weeks, and they themselves are on social welfare, homeless, you may wonder, what is the value of their instruction? So, if someone is extremely wealthy, they may be able to teach us how to become wealthy also. Now, in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada mentions that when we hear Bhagavad Gita, we don't really know 100% that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But there's no sense of reading the Bhagavad Gita if we don't at least theoretically accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we think Krishna could not possibly be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then what is the sense of reading his book? Because his book is meant to prove to us that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada starts the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita with explaining that one American lady approached him and asked him to recommend an edition of the Bhagavad Gita. But Prabhupada said, actually, I cannot recommend any particular edition of the Bhagavad Gita because every edition that I know of that's been translated doesn't touch the spirit of the Bhagavad Gita. And then Prabhupada writes that if one wants to take a particular medicine, then he has to take it according to the directions of the physician or according to the label, how to take it on the bottle. Similarly, that spirit of Bhagavad Gita is that one should accept what the speaker himself has said. Krishna has said that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is also confirmed by Sankaracharya, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, and later on by other acharyas, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita in what's called parampara. He spoke to the sun god spoke to Manu, Manu spoke to Ikshvaku. In this way, the disciple succession went on. And in the course of time, it was broken, and therefore Krishna spoke to Arjuna again the Bhagavad Gita to reestablish this line of teaching. And Krishna said to Arjuna, you're qualified to hear Bhagavad Gita and to be in this line of disciple succession because you're both my devotee and a friend. Therefore, if one tries to become a devotee of Krishna, tries to be his friend, then that's a qualification to hear Bhagavad Gita. Now, everyone has a relationship according to Bhagavad Gita, and that relationship is eternal, and it can be revived by the practice of what Krishna says, devotional service. So at least theoretically, we should accept what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, and that submissive spirit will maybe be able to derive some benefit from hearing Bhagavad Gita and putting it into practice. Similarly, Prabhupada is giving us Bhagavad Gita in the form of explanation and its purports. So at least those who identify themselves as members of the movement that Srila Prabhupada established, then at least theoretically they should accept Srila Prabhupada as the Acarya. Acarya meaning that whatever Srila Prabhupada is saying is perfect. Now the question was raised even during Srila Prabhupada's presence, what does perfect actually mean? For instance, in a morning walk with Jayadvaita Swami and Satsvarup Maharaj, then they raised the question to Srila Prabhupada that sometimes we see that the Acarya, he falls asleep and inappropriately. Sometimes he misquotes verses. So how can we understand that the Acarya is perfect? I remember one time in Dallas, one of our initiating gurus was giving a lecture, and someone came into the lecture and saw he was wearing glasses and said, they told me this man is perfect, but I'm seeing he's wearing glasses. How could he possibly be perfect? And he got up and left. Actually, wearing glasses in Russia used to be quite dangerous, because during the purges, just a sidelight, during the purges, they were trying to get rid of the enemies of the state. So they got rid of a lot of people, sent them to Siberia and whatever, and they ran out of people. So they decided that anyone with glasses must be an enemy of the state, because they must be reading a lot of books, and they're overly intellectual, so they must be enemies. So they rounded up people who wore glasses. That's a little extreme. Needless to say, a lot of optometrists went out of business. In any case, perfection, Prabhupada explained, is called Bhakti Shashana. That means how they're preaching Krishna consciousness. Now, in the material world, people in their interactions, they usually preach in something called social acceptance or politically correct. In other words, there's a certain thing called politically correct, things that you're expected to say, things you're not expected to say, socially acceptable, which is what the majority of people find palatable. And sometimes when we look at Prabhupada's conversations or even read his books, we'll find that he's not always politically correct, according to the modern society, or according to parts of modern society. Nor is he always saying things that are socially acceptable. But then, that wasn't Prabhupada's purpose. Nor was his purpose to create dissension amongst people who read his books or hear his conversations. Prabhupada, for instance, would preach according to the audience that he was dealing with. And sometimes he'd say one thing about social issues to one audience, and sometimes he'd say completely something different to another social audience. His idea was not to agitate their minds necessarily, but in order to present Krishna consciousness, he tried to not interfere with people's social issues so much. Although sometimes Prabhupada, I remember one time Prabhupada was in his room and this group of people came. They believed that the more you were silent, the more you were elevated. So they went into Srila Prabhupada's room to have darshan. They were invited in. And for half an hour, Prabhupada didn't say anything. He just sat there. And they sat there. And when they came out of the room, they told Shruti Kirti Prabhu, "This is the most elevated person we have ever met." He didn't say one word when we were there. So Prabhupada knew how to preach according to time, place, and circumstances, but sometimes he'd say things, if they're taken out of context or without seeing Prabhupada's complete view on the particular issue, they may seem to be socially unacceptable or politically incorrect. But that's not the job of the Acarya. The duty of the Acarya is to somehow or another inject Krishna consciousness into people's lives. So I'm going to read from, this is Chaitanya Charitamrita. Adi Lila, chapter 1, Spiritual Masters, text number 47. I'll just begin with 47. Actually, I'll just read the verses for 45, 46, and 47. 45 is, according to the deliberate opinion of all revealed scriptures, the spiritual master is non-different from Krishna. Lord Krishna, in the form of the spiritual master, delivers his devotees. Acharyamam vijaniyam navamanyate karichit namartya buddhya suyeta sarvadeva mayo guru. One should know the Acharya is myself and never disrespect him in any way. One should not envy him, thinking him an ordinary man, for he is a representative of all the demigods. So this is a verse that Krishna spoke to Uddhava in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, especially explaining how a brahmachari should live under the care of the spiritual master. And there, Prabhupada writes in the purport that the spiritual master, he's not an enjoyer of the facilities offered by his disciples. He's like a father who tries to raise his children to adulthood. The spiritual master is called Acharya, or transcendental professor, that he gives the disciples second birth and educates them in the Vedic knowledge. Now, Krishna is actually appearing as the spiritual master, initiating guru, of course also as the Shiksha guru. Krishna is actually appearing as all living entities, because everyone and everything is a manifestation of Krishna's energy. But those who are actually following Krishna's direction, they're under the spiritual energy, and those who are not following the Krishna's direction, they're under the external energy. And how do you know if someone is following the internal energy of Krishna, is under the internal energy? What are they doing? Does anyone know? Yes, for one thing, they chant Hare Krishna. Now you can chant Hare Krishna and be under the external energy also. I remember I went to a Sunday feast one time, and there was one lady there, and she was glorifying Krishna. She had a deity of Krishna on her altar, saying how beautiful Krishna was. And then at the end of the conversation, she said, and one day, I'm going to become Krishna. So Krishna gives a little bit more than just chanting Hare Krishna. There are many groups who chant Hare Krishna or not necessarily in love with Krishna. He says, Sadatam kirtayanto mam itantascha dritavritaha namasyantach mam bhaktya nityukta upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. These great souls, perpetually they worship me with devotion. So, three things. One is chanting Krishna's glories, but they're also serving him with devotion, with determination, with humility also. They don't think they're going to become Krishna or they're on the same platform of Krishna. They understand that they're eternally subordinate to Krishna. Then Krishna says they're Mahatmas. Mahatmas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashritya. They're under the internal energy of Krishna. So all the devotees who are participating in the Hare Krishna movement sincerely are under the internal energy. And in one sense, they're all eligible to act as guru, to give instruction to others. But the qualification to take up the post of Diksha Guru, that is initiating. Initiation also means the beginning, but the foundation means that they should be able to be Guru Ashraya. That is, that they're able to give shelter by giving the same instructions as Krishna gave Arjuna 5,000 years ago on the battle of Kurukshetra, and they should be able to be following steadily what Krishna tells Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, especially at the end when he says, Sarva Dharma Prityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Give up all different varieties of religion and just surrender to me. Follow the process of Sharanagati. Now, Prabhupada writes, if one poses himself as Acharya but does not have an attitude of servitorship to the Supreme Lord, he must be considered an offender, and this offensive attitude disqualifies him from being an Acharya. So one has to have a service attitude, that one takes up the service as Acharya simply as a servant to his spiritual master. One never thinks himself to be guru because the soul is always Krishna's eternal servant, Nitya Krishna Das. And he's understood he's Krishna's servant because he's the servant of his guru. That's his identity. When we take initiation, the idea of initiation is to give up our false ego and simply to consider ourselves to be the servant of Krishna, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu considered himself. It's not that at any point eternally we become other than Krishna's eternal servant. So the spiritual master never considers himself to be a spiritual master. He simply considers himself to be a humble servant of his spiritual master. And on behalf of his spiritual master, he may educate others who Krishna sends to him to learn how to become a humble servant also of Krishna. He knows that actually the super soul within his heart he's helping him remember the instructions of his spiritual master. And therefore, when he gives instructions to others, then he knows it's not his instructions, but it's the instructions that the super soul is helping him remember in order to help his followers and disciples advance in Krishna consciousness. So actually he understands these instructions are coming from my spiritual master in disciple succession. So when he sees his disciples following those instructions, he learns from them how to become a better servant of his spiritual master. He sees his disciples as an example of surrendering to his spiritual master, and therefore they act as an example for him how to surrender to his spiritual master also. So that such a person can actually be a bona fide guru, because he's not giving his own instructions. He knows he's only relaying the message of Krishna as he received it in disciple succession. Therefore, such exalted, according to our acharyas, such as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that, and he says in his prayers, that the spiritual master must be seen not as equal to God in all respects, but because of his intimate relationship out of love with God. In that way, he's the same in all respects. Therefore, he's seen, Srila Gurudev is seen either as an intimate associate of Srimati Radharani or as a direct representative of Srila Nityananda Prabhu. Now in this verse 47, Shiksha Guru Ke Ta Jani Krishnara Swarup Antaryami Bhakta Shrestha Eduri Rup. One should know the instructing spiritual master to be the personality of Krishna. Lord Krishna manifests himself as the super soul and is the greatest devotee of the Lord. So, Krishna has manifested himself through his devotees. And every devotee who's following parampara, to one degree or another, is a representative of the super soul. It's not that we have to have an official position that now I'm a representative of the super soul. That anyone who repeats the message of Krishna coming in the disciple succession should be known as a representative of Krishna, to different degrees. When some gentleman actually won the chief minister of Maharashtra, and another politician came to Srila Prabhupada in 1977 in November, just a few days before Prabhupada left this world, they asked to meet with Srila Prabhupada privately. And Prabhupada agreed. Bhakti Shri Maharaj left the tape recorder on so we can understand what they asked Prabhupada. But when they came back, after these gentlemen left, the servants of Prabhupada came back and asked, what did they want, Srila Prabhupada? And he said they wanted to know who the next leader of the Hare Krišna movement would be. So Prabhupada said, actually, I'm not appointing any leader. He said, all my disciples, they could be they become the next leader as much as they've understood and follow these teachings. He said, I'm not appointing anyone a leader. All my disciples, they become the leader as much as they've understood and follow these teachings. And he said, you can also become a leader if you want. But you have to understand and follow these teachings. So this idea that you have to be certified, and then when you talk about Krishna, then it has some effect. So anyone who talks about Krishna will have its effect according to the receptivity of the audience and according to the realization of the speaker. Therefore, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, what Prabhupada says in the purport, that Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami states that the instructing spiritual master is a bona fide representative of Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna himself teaches us as the instructing spiritual master from within and without. From within he teaches as Paramatma, our constant companion, and from without he teaches from the Bhagavad Gita as the instructing spiritual master. There are two kinds of instructing spiritual masters. One is the liberated person, fully absorbed in meditation and devotional service, and the other is he who invokes the disciple's spiritual consciousness by means of relevant instructions. Thus, the instructions in the science of devotion are differentiated in terms of the objective and subjective ways of understanding. In other words, we all have our experience in Krishna consciousness and our understanding what it is. But not everyone has full comprehension and experience. Therefore, it's the development of experience of faith from Shraddha all the way up to Prema and beyond Prema. That one who's actually situated in Bhava or Prema is an Uttamadhikari, that not only when he has a theoretical understanding, but he's actually living in Krishna consciousness. For him, Krishna consciousness is not just a theory, it's a tangible reality. For others, Krishna consciousness is also reality, an experience, but may not be the full experience, the full understanding. For instance, the Uttamadhikari is described in the Nectar of Devotion, from his heart emanates rays of love of God. Not all of us can claim that from my heart is constantly emanating rays of love of God, so that when I walk into the room, they turn the lights off because it would be too glaring. Now, devotees have reported from their experience of Srila Prabhupada, and I can also attest to it, that I've been with Srila Prabhupada, and we can describe Prabhupada's, my experience was that Prabhupada, from his heart, he was emanating rays of love of God. But that was my subjective experience. But others had the same experience too. In any case, it's not that everyone else becomes worthless, just like one may not be an expert golf player and hit the ball in the hole every time. But one may be better than we are, and they can teach us how to improve our particular ability in that sport. So they become our teachers also. But when the teacher claims he hits a hole in one every time, and actually he doesn't, then faith in that teacher may be diminished somewhat. So those who are taking up the role of instructing, whether a diksha or shiksha, they should also know their own position and not try to imitate someone on a higher platform. But what we do know is that we can judge everything, at least if one joins the Hare Krišna movement and becomes part of it, especially after initiation, then at least theoretically we accept that Srila Prabhupada is the perfect representative of Krishna. Perfect representative that everything he was doing, he was in Krishna consciousness, and everything he did was to help give others Krishna consciousness too. Whether what he said was socially acceptable or sometimes politically incorrect, but his motivation and his expertise was that he presented Krishna consciousness in such a way, at least the immediate audience that he dealt with had the best opportunity to understand and accept Krishna consciousness. Now others, we may not be so expert, but still we can make an effort according to our own particular understanding, our own particular expertise, to give Krishna consciousness to others. And that way we can also act as a representative of Krishna to the best of our ability. But Prabhupada writes, the Acarya, in the true sense of the term, was authorized to deliver Krishna, enriches the disciple with full spiritual knowledge, and thus awakens him to the activities of devotional service. So at least in our movement, if we want to claim to be part of the Hare Krišna movement, we should at least theoretically accept that Prabhupada is giving us full spiritual knowledge, and that everyone else is assisting him to one degree or another. And if one is, for instance, one has a diksha guru within the society, so it may not be within our capacity to understand what level of spiritual advancement our initiating guru is on. But all we know is that I've accepted him, at least theoretically, according to the best of my ability, as a representative of Krishna. And in that submissive spirit, then I hear from him and I render service. And in the background, I have to also study Prabhupada's books to know what he's saying in relationship to the whole. To have the complete background of Srila Prabhupada's books. My spiritual master may be an Uttama Acarya. He may have perfect knowledge. He may not have perfect knowledge. But at least our founder Acarya, we have to be familiar with his instructions so we can understand the background of what anyone is saying in Krishna consciousness. It may perfectly fit what someone is instructing us, what we know of Prabhupada. It may not fit. But then we have to look through Prabhupada's books and instructions to see how it fits. Then, if we accept Srila Prabhupada as our Acarya, as the Acarya, and we accept his representatives, so the representative, by following their instructions, we're following Prabhupada's instructions. Because Prabhupada wanted the disciple succession to go on. He didn't expect that everyone in the disciple succession was going to be the topmost devotee. But he did expect those who accept a spiritual master to surrender to them. Because that surrendered attitude, that attitude of devotion and surrender is our way we advance. As Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad Gita, that one should accept a spiritual master in line of disciple succession from the Lord himself. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. So that's the secret of our advancement. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. In other words, it's our attitude of service and surrender that helps us advance in spiritual life. Now, the spiritual master may not be 100% perfect, but if I serve the spiritual master with faith and devotion and submission, humbly, then I'll become perfect. If he becomes pleased, if any devotee becomes pleased, then I'll spiritually advance. If I recognize any devotee as a servant of Krishna and I try to humbly serve them and they become pleased, then I'll spiritually advance. Now, if I'm so worried about where everyone else is at in terms of their own personal realization, and therefore I don't want to serve anyone because I don't want them to get puffed up and think I'm a servant, we can do that, but we're not going to go anywhere spiritually. It's our own personal attitude. It's, of course, blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. We don't follow devotees blindly, but with some knowledge we'll understand to be a devotee doesn't require a huge amount of qualification. If they're chanting Hare Krišna, then sincerely trying to serve Krishna, they have some humility, they don't claim that they're Krishna, or that they're something other than Krishna's servant. They're a devotee, and if I serve them and please them, then I'll spiritually advance. And what to speak of someone who I accept as an initiating guru, who I made a vow to surrender to. Now the question comes up, what happens if the spiritual master has some difficulty? How should I see it? Well, Prabhupada gives the answer in his books. Just like a girl, she wants to get a good husband. So she serves the parents nicely. She prays to Lord Shiva to send her a good husband. But if she doesn't get a good husband, her ideal husband, still she doesn't leave the husband. She serves him faithfully in the Vedic culture. Only, similarly, if one accepts a spiritual master and makes a vow of surrender that the spiritual master is a representative of Krishna, one doesn't leave the spiritual master unless only in extreme case that one thinks that the spiritual master is not leading one to Krishna. Or one is hopelessly, as it says in one scripture in Narad, I forget his name, that he's hopelessly involved in sense gratification. He himself is not making any spiritual progress. Still, that's very extreme. In other words, we should see our relationship with devotees as an opportunity to become humble, to become a servant, to become an appreciative servant of other devotees, and by rendering them service under the guidance of our spiritual master and other Shiksha Gurus, Shiksha and Diksha Gurus, and ultimately under the guidance of the Acaryas, represented by Srila Prabhupada. We should always feel ourselves be connected with the disciple succession, not only with our initiating guru or with our Shiksha Gurus, but with the entire succession of Acaryas. There's no question of jumping over anyone. We have a spiritual master, and he's connected with Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada is connected with his spiritual master. His spiritual master is connected with his spiritual master, and ultimately with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Panchatattva, and then with the Krishna and his associates in Vrindavan. It's all connected, one big happy family. We become Krishna conscious. We have an ocean of relationships with so many acharyas, with the 6 Goswamis, with the Panchatattva, and with Krishna and his associates in Vrindavan. We enter into a big, big family. And everyone's part of that family, by the way. Everyone in the Hare Krišna movement. And when we become Krishna conscious, we love everyone. That's called Krishna consciousness. We love everyone, and because we love everyone, others love us too. Yoga yukta vishuddhatma vijitatma jitendriya sarvabhutatma bhutatma korva napni lipite. That one who works in devotion who controls his minds and senses, is dear to everyone and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a person is never entangled. So under the guidance of our guru, like Srila Prabhupada, who loved everyone, in the same way Srimati Radharani loved everyone, and because she loved everyone, she saw everyone as a better servant of Krishna than herself. And therefore she was always humble, just like Krishna is always humble. Of course, Prabhupada acted on the Madhyama Adhikari platform, so although he loved everyone, he sometimes had to chastise some of his followers, and sometimes he chastised others in his books, not out of enviousness, but out of love. Because without getting chastised, at least according to the Vedic culture, no one can actually mature. One lady never disciplined her nephew. She was an aunt, and her nephew grew up very bad because of that. So he got into a lot of trouble, and he was going to be hung. So he was on the gallows. They were putting the rope around his neck to hang him, and he said, "I want to have one last. I want to say one last thing to my aunt." So his aunt came over, and he said, "Put your ear next to mine, next to my mouth, so I can tell you one last thing." And she did that, and he took his mouth and bit off her ear. And everyone was shocked. He said, "Because you never disciplined me, therefore I'm where I am now." So this idea of spare the rod and spoil the child is not the Vedic conception. Without becoming disciplined, at least at a certain age, no one will grow up properly. So the disciple is one who's prepared to be disciplined, and the spiritual master should know how to discipline the disciple, how to use words in such a way as to encourage them to come to the platform of Krishna consciousness. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Hare Krishna, can you say something about the relationship between the Srila Prabhupada's books and books by his disciple and spiritual masters in ISKCON?
Well, there's just surely my opinion, because there's so many books. There's so many books. I mean, when I joined the movement, we didn't have any books. We only had Prabhupada's originally 3 Srimad Bhagavatams. And it was very hard for me to read them, actually, to tell you the truth. The language was not. I had 2 majors in college. One was English and one was psychology. Srimad Bhagavatam was a little difficult to read. And that's all we had. And we had one verse from the Radha Krishna Bhagavad Gita, but we didn't even have the purport. We didn't have the Sanskrit. We only had the translation. We said, as the embodied soul continually passes in this body, etc. So we heard that verse 3 times a week. Burjan Prabhu, who was the only one who gave a lecture at that time. Well, he gave it twice a week at the university, but he didn't have the Bhagavad Gita. He only had that verse. So 2 or 3 times a week, that's all we heard, that the body's changing, but we're not. Then later on, I wrote to Prabhupada one time, and he said, soon you'll get the Nectar of Devotion, and then we got the Krishna book, etc. We only had a few books for most of it. And now we have so many books. Uddhava Nilamrita, and Govinda Lilamrita, and things that every book is there. So Prabhupada's disciples writing books is very nice. Prabhupada wanted them to write them. But they should be in line. They should help us understand Prabhupada's books. In other words, the test of whether or not the book is going to be helping our advancement or not is more or less they help us understand Prabhupada's books. If we accept Prabhupada as the perfect Acharya, then even if another perfect Acharya writes books nowadays, it should help us understand Prabhupada's books, because he's the founder Acharya. And if they write something new, however interesting it may be, or if they don't believe that Prabhupada is a perfect Acharya, and they even write things which are meant to show us that actually Prabhupada was politically incorrect, or he didn't know how to handle philosophy when dealing with mundane people nowadays, better to avoid such literature. It will not help us develop faith in Prabhupada or his instructions, which will not help us advance in spiritual life. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the lecture. Hvala za predavanje. Zdaj bi vas pa povabila na ples pred božanstvi.
Jayo Pancha Tattva, Pancha Tattva, Pancha Tattva, Jayo Pancha Tattva. Kiva Jaya, Jaya Gaura Chander, Arati Koshova. Janavitatavane Jagamanalova Dakene Nitai Chan Bame Gadadhara Nikate Advaita Shrini Vasa Chatradhara Vaseyache Goranchan Ratna Simhasane Arati Korena Brahma Ade Devagane Nara Hare Adi Kore Chamaradhulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Vaso Goshadigaya Shankar Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Bhaje Karathala Madhura Mridanga Bhaje Paramarasala Madhur 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 Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje Shankar Bhaje Maganta Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje Shankar Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje Hare Bol Hare Bol Hare Bol Nitai Gaura Hare Bol Baho Koti Chandra Jene Vadana Ujvala Gala Deshe Vanamala Kore Chalamala Shiva Shuka Narada Preme Gada Gada Shiva Bhakti Vinoda Deke Gaurara Sampada Shiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Koshova Jana Vitata Vahane Jaga Manalobha Jaga Jana Manalobha Jaga Jana Manalobha Gaurangera Rotik Shova Jaga Janamana Loba Gaurangera Rotik Shova Jaga Janamana Loba Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nita Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol. Jayo Pancha Tattva, Pancha Tattva, Pancha Tattva, Jayo Pancha Tattva. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jayom Vishnupad Paramahangsa Acharya Asadhara Sutushi Shriman, His Divine Grace Shalasi Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Samastapakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahangsa Acharya Asadhara Sutushi Shriman, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Shri Rup Sanatan Bhadraganath, Shri Jeev Gopala Das Raghunath, Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Premjgo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath, Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govindam Ki Jai, Mathuradam Ki Jai, Vrindavandam Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Ayodhya Dham Ki Jai, ISKCON Ljubljana Ki Jai, Gangamai Ki Jai, Jamunamai Ki Jai, Srimati Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Shri Panchatattva Ki Jai, Shri Gauranitai Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande Hariva, Slava Zabrani Bhaktam, Slava Zabrani Bhaktam, Slava Zabrani Bhaktam, Slava Shri Gurui, Shri Gurangi. Om Vishnu Rakasmi Stavudaya Shri Sahastre Sahasabhya.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahladananda Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Shilatankanakalaye Ito Nrisimha Parato Nrisimho Yato Yato Yamitato Nrisimha Bahir Nrisimho Hridaye Nrisimho Nrisimha Madem Sharanam Prapade Tava Karakamala Varenakam Hadvuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipo Tanubringam Keshavadrita Narahare Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Narahare Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jayo Nrisingadev, 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 Jayo Nrisingadev. Jayo Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jayo Prahlad Maharaj. Shri Shri Prahlad Nrsingadev Bhagavan ki jai.
Tako, približujemo se zadnjim 2 točkam današnjega programa. Sledi vegetarijanska pojedina, servirana zunaj v šotoru. Danes so v kuhinji jo pripravljali učenci njegove svetosti Radhanath Swamija, pa se jim lahko zahvalimo z enim haribol. Je kdo danes mogoče z nami prvič? If there is somebody with us for the first time, imamo zanj pripravljeno sladko presenečenje, pa se lahko glasi pri meni. We have a small sweet surprise for the first comers and they can come to me and we will give them to them. Tako, ob 7 je še program Plus in z Lalit Govinda prebujem Bhajani. Zdaj pa prosim, če še se naredimo molitev pred čiščenjem prasadama, pa prosim, če lahko kar v en glas skupaj. Šarira. Hare Krišna in dobrodošli spet prihodnjo nedeljo.